We seem to be in a new era of the music biopic, each one with diminishing returns from the one that came before. Hopefully, this one is the bottom of the barrel and it goes up from here. Let's talk about the Amy Winehouse biopic, Back to Black. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my movie review for the Amy Winehouse biopic, Back to Black. This was a minor blip in theaters and 2 weeks later came to on demand, so you can already get this at home even though it was just released a few weeks ago. And we're going to talk about all of this and my thoughts on it in just a moment, but first let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We've got movie and TV reviews here on the channel, and just about every day I try to post something new, so there's always a lot to check out. And just in the past year or year and a half, I've reviewed the Bob Marley biopic, One Love. I've reviewed the Whitney Houston biopic, I Want to Dance with Somebody. So yeah, every few months we're getting a new music biopic, and boy oh boy, we haven't had a truly good one, I think, since probably Rocket Man, and that was, I don't know, five years ago maybe at this point, the Elton John one. But in any event, we're going to talk about this Amy Winehouse one in just a second. But first, let me remind you to please subscribe, like this video, and comment below. All that stuff, of course, does help the channel out. All right, so first of all, there is already a documentary called Amy from, I think, I don't know. It's been a little while, 2015 maybe? And that is an excellent look at this singer that obviously we lost too soon. You know, if you don't know anything about Amy Winehouse, she was, a great, crooning type singer, with a great blue-eyed soul, and she died at 27. She had, huge drug issues. The alcohol is what ended up killing her. But, a beautiful voice and, quite a talent. However, not a really long-standing career, like when we think about other people from the quote-unquote 27 Club, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, Janis Joplin. They left, a pretty nice breadth of work, at least 3 or 4 albums. Amy Winehouse had 2 albums, one of which, she was kind of up and coming, and then one, Back to Black, which was hugely successful, earned her a lot of Grammy Awards, including Best New Artist. But that was it. Her drugs got the better of her at that point. And so, she did a couple of songs after that. And there's a few demos, I guess, floating around. But that was it. So a very short-lived career, but certainly a talent. But the documentary really, really covered, all of that quite well. So when this was announced, I thought, well, I'm not sure why we need a biopic version. Because what could do it more justice than actually seeing the footage of her on stage and in the recording studio and in life and in interviews. How are they going to sort of top that? And then I saw the gal that they had chosen to be her, who is Marissa Abela, and she doesn't even really look that much like her. Yeah, they gave her a beehive hairdo and they messed her teeth up a little bit. But, she doesn't really look the part. So, okay, another strike. But I like to go into movies fresh, with an open mind. And I was certainly willing to give this one a shot. But of the recent music biopics, this is by far the worst one yet. And there's a lot of reasons why. I'm not even sure where to begin. Let's start actually with the one bright spot of the movie, which turns out to be Abela. Not in the looks department, but I think she sounds like her enough, in her speaking voice. But more importantly, she does all the singing in this movie, and she sounds a really, really good bit like Winehouse. She took lessons for months to get this Winehouse vocal style down, and the voice. And I think for that, she nailed it. And that is probably the only reason I'm not failing this movie, because I think she was definitely a bright spot in it, even though, like I said, she doesn't really look the part, but she sounds like her. And I always will give credit if the person is doing their own singing in the movie, because I think that is, a Herculean chore in some cases. Rami Malek won the Oscar for Bohemian Rhapsody, and he didn't do his own singing. I think a little bit like mixed with Freddie Mercury's, but it's mostly Freddie Mercury. And so sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. The Whitney Houston biopic didn't. Taron Egerton did in Rocket Man. But anyway, so I will give her props for that. But that is the only positive thing really I can say about this movie. So let's talk about the negative. First of all, this was directed by Sam Taylor Johnson, who by name I wasn't familiar with, but she directed 50 Shades of Grey, the first movie in that series, which honestly, look, I thought it was okay. I think I gave it a B minus. The other two movies in the series are terrible. She didn't have anything to do with those. But obviously, the 50 Shades movies are not high art, for sure. So, all right, but whatever. I mean, I like Dakota Johnson a lot, and she was in that movie, so whatever. But I think she doesn't have enough experience with directing feature films. She's only done a handful to really tackle the Amy Winehouse story. And I keep saying, like, yeah, okay, she didn't live, very long. She didn't have a huge illustrious career. But the focus of this movie is just all over the place. We spend almost no time with her before she got famous. So she's already basically famous when the movie starts. There's like a couple of scenes where she's, a teenager or whatever. But basically, Frank, her first album had already come out like by the third or fourth scene. And you're like, okay, well, that was kind of fast. We didn't really find out anything about her upbringing. And that's pretty important because her dad is fairly known to be not a great person and not a good influence in her life. And he's shown here as pretty sympathetic, as is her husband, Blake Civil Fielder, who is pretty much known as the cause of her drug addiction. And they show a little bit of that. And they show like, okay, yeah, he cheated on her, and all of this. And look, she was in love with him. She made a lot of her own choices, certainly. But to make these guys kind of the sympathetic men in her life, does a great disservice to Winehouse. And okay, so let's say I didn't even know that going in. Let's say I didn't have any knowledge of Amy Winehouse. The movie is still all over the place in its tone, in its pacing, and again, we don't really see the childhood. It just kind of starts, and oh, okay, she's going to the recording studio already. That was fast. And so, look, if you want an Amy Winehouse movie, watch Amy. Which I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but I'm sure you can rent it, from iTunes or Apple or whatever, or, Amazon. That is a great, great picture of who Amy Winehouse was, really warts and all. This, I mean, and I don't want to say it's sanitized because it definitely gets into some of, the drug stuff and whatever, but not really. It's more of a portrait of like, her not really being able to deal with fame very well, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. And there's even quotes by the real Amy Winehouse, at the end, or maybe it's a Bela in a voiceover, I don't know, that says something like, I want to be remembered for my music and all this. Well, then why is your entire movie about your marriage and this and that and the other thing? It's very little really about the music, which is sad because that's the best part, is Bela's singing voice. So this is a train wreck of a movie. Like I said in the beginning, I hope that this is the bottom of the barrel for music biopics, and we keep going up from here, because this is a dud. I leave Back to Black with a D. And again, really only not failing it because of Bela's voice work in this. It's certainly not for anything else. So, all right, but if you want to, you can check it out. It is on demand now for your at-home viewing pleasure. Thank you for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you next time.